All right, fifth graders, in part two, we're going to switch gears a little bit and we're going to start to talk about some more complex algebra equations and expressions. So far, we've been working with a single variable inside an equation, but in algebra, we don't always do that. So today, we're going to take a look at a step that you're going to have to do before you solve algebra equations. It's called combining like variables. We're going to first take a look at some expressions that have just one variable, but in multiple different spots. And then the second part of today's lesson is going to take a look at how do we combine variables when we have more than one. So let's say we have j and x and y inside of an equation, and what do we have to do to prepare that expression so that it can be easily solved. All right, so when we combine like variables, what we're going to do is we want to combine all of the j's and kind of combine them down into one single number with a variable with it. So it'll make more sense as we get going. So I have this expression here. This is an expression and not an equation because it doesn't have an equal sign. An expression is kind of half of an equation if you want to think of it that way. We have 8j plus 9 minus 4j plus 7 plus 2j. All right, so we got a lot of things going on. So the first thing I want to do is I want to identify what are our different variables that we have. All right, well, right here I see that we have 8j. All right, we have 8j here. I see another j right there, 4j. Now, I'm not going to use green on 9 because there's no variable with it. That's just a number. All right, I see there's no variable attached to 7. I see that I have 2j at the end. All right, so I had 3 different spots that had that j variable in it. Now, if I look, I also have a 9 here and a 7. So I have 2 different spots in my expressions that has a number without a variable attached. That's important to know. All right, so now let's start to combine things. I'm going to use green for my variable. So let's pull out of this equation what we have with j. All right, so I see that I have 8j right down there. We always look ahead to know if it's a positive number with a variable or a negative. Now I look here and it says 4j, but if I look right before it, right there, is that minus sign. So I don't have 4j. What the equation or the expression is saying is that I'm taking away 4j. So I'm going to write this down below as negative 4j because we're taking 4j away in that part of the expression. As I go back, I see I'm not taking away, I'm adding it, so I'm adding another 2j right there. Now I'm going to combine these all together, all right? So I'm going to add these 3 numbers together. So first I have to take, okay, I've got 8j plus a negative 4j. If we add a negative number, it's the same as subtracting it. So 8 plus negative 4j would actually give me just 4j returned. All right, but I still got this guy left over. Now with that number, which was 8j plus negative 4j, we have 2j. Boom, if I put that together, I have 6j total. So I combined those 3 spots that had that same variable. I combined them together to get 6j after it's all said and done. Now I have to also do the number here. So I had a 9, which was a plus 9, so I keep that positive. I had a positive 7, so I'm just going to add those 2 numbers together, which gets me 16. And then I rewrite this expression with what I have left over. So this expression right here is equal to 6j, because that's what we found out. We combined all of the j's together and found out there was really 6j total there. 6j plus 16, because we also had a group of numbers that didn't have a variable attached to it. So that's our goal. We're not going to actually figure out an answer. Our goal with these problems is just to reduce them to combine those like variables. So informative, boom, I'm putting in 6j plus 16 as my answer. All right, let's look at another one. All right, I'm going to use a couple of different colors. I see that I have a number without a variable in 10. I have another number right here without a variable in 4. All right. I'm going to switch colors. I see I have t as my variable. There's negative 6t there. I have another one there, and I have another t at the end. So the first thing you're going to want to do is kind of identify those different numbers that are alike. So which variables go together, which ones don't have variables. All right. So let's start figuring it out. I'm going to start this time with my numbers without a variable. So I have 10. And then I have negative 4 because we are taking away 4 in our expression. All right. So I have 10 and I have negative 4. If I combine those two numbers together, I add them together. 10 plus a negative 4 is the same as 10 minus 4. So we have 6 total left over with our numbers that don't have variables. Now I'm going to combine my variables. I see I was taking away, always look at that symbol. I was taking away 6t, so I had negative 6t as one number. I had just a regular t. Whenever there's a variable that doesn't have anything in front of it, we can assume that's like putting a 1 in front of it. There's just, and that was a really bad one. Let me write that again. So it's the same as saying 1t. All right, if this was just an x, it would be 1x. All right, so we had negative 6t, we had 1t, and then we had a negative 3t because we were taking away different numbers. Okay, so now let's combine them. All right, if I have a negative 6t plus 1t, that gives me negative 5t. All right, and then, I forgot to make this negative, negative 5t plus a negative 3t. Remember, if we're at a negative number, it's the same as subtracting. We're getting further away from 0. So negative 5 plus negative 3 would be negative 8. And we're working in t, so we have negative 8t. Now I write my final answer, which means that we've combined it all, would be 6 plus negative 8t. So your job next is going to go through a couple of these problems. There's only going to be one variable in them. It's going to be spread out amongst a couple different numbers, so you need to combine them together. After that, there's going to be another video that talks you through how to do it if there's more than one letter, more than one variable in there. So good luck. Remember, if you don't get it right away, we will get there. All right, so persevere and get through that uncomfortableness if you don't understand it. All right, good luck.